Look at that, the most precious thing. One ear up, one ear down. Frida Reba Darcy and Patricia O'Connor here. What you see before you is an oak tree in our living room. This is a California oak. I'm not exactly sure which of the California oaks this is. Possibly a red oak. But it's an evergreen. Whichever one it is, it's one of the several that are evergreens. And as some of you know, I've had this tree for some time, and I got this tree a couple of years ago, and it has a little bit of a backstory. Its backstory is this: it was started by a nursery owner. And I think this, as the story goes, he started 100 seedlings, and then 35 years later, he passed on. And his spouse sold the nursery, and this was the one of the 100 that one of, I don't know if he was like the one out of 100 that he had ended up keeping, or if there were more, but this ended up being a part of that deal. And it was a very nice looking, probably show ready tree when I acquired it a couple of years ago. No, not a couple of years ago, last year, a long year ago. We had dieback on this and my cork bark oak. And so we cut it back bare, and since then, last year we went and resumed our feeding and our pruning, and it's coming back, and it's coming back with a vengeance. So this past year, looking at it, this past summer, I would drag the tree in and do a cut on it, just cut back the new growth, so that we would let that stuff vibricate out. And you know, I'm always saying cut anything that goes up, anything that goes down, anything that goes back at the tree. That's your default mode. Now there might be instances where you might eliminate that rule for a little while. Maybe you need to cover up a bare spot, you know, we'll take whatever we can get. Or maybe you're well and truly not looking at a whole lot of foliage on a tree, and it's just not a good time to be choosing. So other than that, that's kind of the way I am to that degree. Last year we showed some of both. I started working on cutting back the branches that would be the foundation, and then when they got rather long rather quickly, I clipped them back to a usable length, and then watched with enthusiasm as they began to build a secondary. And then not even halfway through summer, there was another clipping for a tertiary, and we probably did that a few more. We got all the terries out of that we could get, and that was this one. The cork bark oak, I probably was able to cut that back a half a dozen times. No lie. But we've got a good start going. We've got a good start going on this guy, and here I am, and it's waking up. It's already starting to put out new branches. I said that this was an evergreen. We have a nice little, I don't know how well you can see it. We have a nice little hollow feature right there. Excuse me one second while I'm going to adjust my, I have a backlight, and I'm going to bring it in a little bit. I was just noticing that I think that still, I don't know, I know I'm infringing frame with that. Maybe if I go this way, we can get a little bit more front lighting. Okay, all right. Okay, that's win, lose, or draw. That's about all I'm gonna give that. Okay, but like I was saying earlier, this tree does have a nice little hollow feature right here. Also, the bark is really rough and it's not fragile. You can just, you could swing off of this stuff. And it does have a whole lot of texture. I can see a whole lot of little shoots coming out here. All in here and all in here. It's just going to be peppered with them. And you can see more here, and more here, and more here. And that's, just basically since the last time that I went through there, and I typically just kind of rub those off. But this year, seeing the tree go dormant for a little while, and it slowed down, and we got a chance to look at what the tree was. There's the hollow feature. I don't know if I've made that more visible with line or not. Probably not. But anyway, there's a few things. One, the canopy before we had our dieback would have been out to here, and that would have been pretty. That's impressive. Not would have been, it will be when that comes back again. We could probably be a long way towards that, maybe by the end of the summer. But there is some of this stuff that was a compromise. There's some stuff back here in the back that's growing straight up, and the thing right next to it's growing straight up. And the branch right across to it, there's two right next to one another, but they're both straight up like this. They need to be doing that. Anything but straight up or straight down. And whereas we were just trying to maintain or increase the amount of photosynthesis and the amount of energy, this going in is an opportunity to be a little bit more choosy and clip this back to get us off on a good footing for spring. And I've still got some decisions to make. Also, I've made some decisions. Looking at it this sparse, because I'm used to seeing it, far out there. Looking at it this sparse, it does look like it's winning the tug of war to try to be a top-heavy tree and giving up its bottom mass. So, a couple of things. One, I'm going to keep an eye. Let's see the best way to show you this. This year, and probably forever, I'm going to keep an eye on this area of the tree and this area of the tree. This is a little limb with a fork right here, and they are considerably thicker than anything around them. So at some point, those may get cut, and we've got a nice small proportionate branch here, and we've got some nice branching here. So we would have a nice sized wound there in a couple of years to get over that. But at some point, this may be getting taller than I want to take the tree. And I will be thinking about that during the next year. I won't be looking to make any decisions right now. It almost looks already a little out of balance. I'm going to see if this year's growth, having other things come out and fill in, causes that to catch up with that area, or if I need to eliminate that. But I don't want the tree to get bigger, much bigger than it is, and I don't want it to grow more in height while giving up stuff on the bottom. I grew up in the South where huge oaks, you see where all these little shoots are coming out down here on the bottom. I would expect trees back home to have limbs that would just go out and, they'll run out of frame. But way out here somewhere in real life, up the scale, the limbs start running along the ground and hit the ground a couple of times, kind of taking some of the weight. And you'll see them, they'll just run along the ground for a long way. They won't ever root. I've never seen one of those limbs as much as I've seen them sit on the ground, as much as I've seen people line up their whole family and have them sit down on a limb that's ankle high on an oak tree that's huge. I've never seen one of those limbs ever sprout from being in contact with the ground. But that is something that you would see, especially in the South on the Louisiana oaks and stuff like that. They say those guys grow for 200 years, live for 200 years, and then shut down and die for 200 years. I don't. That's probably just a wise tale. But anyway, we're going to do our little spring cleanup with this guy. This year, as a change of pace, I'm going to encourage these little sprouts up here. Not only am I not going to just rub them off or eliminate them tonight, but I will not do that this year. I'm going to allow more stuff down here closer to grow. Also, I'd like to see the trunk get fatter. I think this is too low. These little guys here, they are too low for the tree. I go above the first third, which puts them a couple, down here. Also, it can be seen that there was at one point, we've got a nice little knot. There was a branch right here. I think that's a good place for a branch to return if one wants to do that. But I would like for these guys and for whatever is coming out here to just come on out here for a little while and fatten up the trunk. I want to see that get fatter. This is the back of the tree. This summer, I'm going to pick a branch out of one of these little sprouts and allow them to go right on out. And then that brings us to here. That'll be, this is a new branch. I don't know if that's probably not even picking up on camera, but I got a sprout there. I would like to see a branch here. So what I'm saying is we are going to have some branches coming out of here that are going to be permanent, I believe. And I'll have a branch coming out of here that's going to be permanent. And I'm going to start working to bring the branching down, while at the same time I'm going to keep an eye on this up here. I'll probably take the camera up when we get a little farther into this and show you what I mean about. I've got a slingshot right here, but it's got branches on it that are both this thick, and where they got pruned back from sickness and then put out all of those shoots, I probably should have cut that down to one that's getting club-like. So that'll have to be addressed at least some, but it does have shoots. It does have shoots farther down it, so that there's reason to keep it. There's reason to think that it'll balance out and do stuff, but I may have to work on that at some point to get rid of that club on the end of that branch. This is right where I cut it from our dieback. It was probably out to here, and it would just start turning black in whole sections that I would then cut off to try to stay just ahead of the old Black Death, whatever that was. And that was something I think I got rid of with a systemic treatment. Also, this year, what we're doing, we'll be getting this tree ready for this year. And to that end, we have already given this tree its systemic treatment. So we have that going for us here. There's my scissors. All right, so what I'm going to do is some of the stuff that I was given a late break to. It's going to be pretty much put up or shut up time, and then let's see what we get out of this. This guy is straight down, so we'll take that much of it. If this has anything left to go, it can stay if it wants to. This is going straight up. And I'm not planning on wiring this tree or the cork bark. I mean, I do it by pretty much branch to branch. I'm not throwing up any red flags and going no more wire on this. But from now on, I would like both of my oaks. I have 3 oaks actually, Pat. I would like for those oaks to be majorly clip and grow, and if I see something that I really feel like I have to wire, then I'll address that. Yeah. So there's no real hard and fast, I'm not going to cut myself off to any options. It's all going to be it's all going to be open. It's all going to be in our kit. All right, I'm just kind of getting a little slow start here, like that. See, I could bend that down, and it wouldn't be a branch going up, but it is, and so. So I'm going to cut it back to here. And the reason is you can't see it, but I cut it back to a leaf that's pointed at me, which means I'll get a branch that direction. Instead of losing that branch, I will get it go in the direction I like, which is optimal. Stuff on the bottom. Whenever you cut the end of a branch, there was chemicals stored up in the tips of those branches that were sending a signal to the rest of the tree that that's where the action is. Send all of your stuff over here. And when you clip that end, you release those stored chemicals, and a rush of other chemicals are allowed to run up throughout the tree, and that tells the other parts that whatever the dominant leader was, it no longer is. So you'll get a things will start to flush out more to try to jump and and stake their claim. And that's just kind of how that works. All right, see, I've got 1, 2, and that 2. I have a lot of really cool branches here that are made less cool by the part where they're going straight up. Goodbye. Okay, we still get some stuff out of this one though. Pyong. Oak trees, they are really tough and hardy. They don't get really finicky about too much or too little water. You can do both, but it's not some knife edge the way it seems to be with some of the other bonsai trees. You feed them and water them, they will branch out. I've seen a lot of people with cork barks like mine that are lovingly raising their logs. It'll eat well, or it looks like. Is it a bonsai tree, or are you growing a fireplace log? It could be both. Yeah, I'll admit it. I admit it. But we have plans. We're working on it. When it comes to log, we're working on it. This is already starting to look better. I don't know if a few little cuts in. God, I hate to do this part right here. All right, I've got some growth here, and then I've got some okay growth on the end of this one. But this guy here is just breaking the rules and daring me to do anything. So yeah. Open up. I wonder, nope, don't wonder. No, what I started to say out loud was, I wonder if I could have done a wedge cut underneath that part of the tree and perhaps pulled that down. But that would have been a time-consuming little experiment. Okay. Cut paste on that coming in. We've got a little start on this. We've got quite a bit more to do, but this is a good little start. The cut paste seems to be fairly well behaved tonight. It's sticking to the tree instead of me. All right, back at it. Straight up. The reason I'm doing more of this now than I was doing in the spring was I wanted to see how many choices. I wanted to see all of our choices. I wanted it to keep making choices and branches, and if that was kind of the thought behind that. All these little shoots trying to be the top of the tree. But we're kind of working our way right up our tree here. This one's next. I mean, can you see? Let me see. Got a hoop here. Little branching back here on the elbow. A bud back here that kind of failed. I think we have enough. I think we have enough branching on here that for the limbs that we have that are facing, the ones that are facing the right direction, that I'm not going to prune when all is said and done, we'll have more than enough stuff to have a good tree design. I don't think I have to compromise right now by saying, well, that's not facing the right direction, but it's green and alive and there's not a lot of that. No, bull, we did good last year. We built a lot of tree last year, and I was a little reluctant to get rid of all of our choices while they were popping up. I kind of wanted to make sure that what we had would cross the finish line. If I just keep lining up those metaphors, I just wanted to make sure that we were able to bring all those choices to bear, and didn't start cutting stuff and then all at the same time have some massive dieback where we cut back a third and then the tree took out a third or something. That would have been, that would have. I didn't want to feel like I was taking any unnecessary chances with things going well. That whole part. Okay. starting to work my way farther up the tree now. Some of the stuff that looks like it's going straight up was curving, was just kind of rainbowing its way up. It was actually in a much better position before. So I'm kind of doing a quick look down below at what I missed before I totally commit to moving up the tree. Having already started up there, so I decided to come back down and make sure we were well and truly not skipping stuff. So it's pretty true. It's pretty much true what they say about these guys. If you've got a branch and it's got a leaf here, 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 and a leaf here, for instance, right? Or turn it this way and say all those leaves. If you want to pick a direction of your next branch, take the leaf that's facing the direction you want your next limb or branch to be and cut it where that leaf is. That will then become your next limb. So I don't really have any styling aspirations that well thought out at this stage in the game, so I'm not really going to be pruning anything based on that right now. I'm still just kind of following our rule of thumb and giving this guy a little bit of cleanup before we take off into spring. And it is already started taking off into spring. Okay, moving further up the tree. That, man. There. Why didn't I cut the end? Because it has all of this on it too. And it has a lot of buds right here. Meters running on this guy. TikTok, show me something. You can do it. That's not. That is. Probably give this pot a fairly good wipe down before it goes back outside too. I've got a good rag and my baby oil right here handy. So many little things popping out of there. We know you can go because you're making the tree taller. And Spoken like a Californian. Yep, no. The part where it elongates, we don't really feel like we need it. I think part of the question as to what type of oak this is, I think oaks also do this thing where they cross pollinate a lot. And I've heard people say that when they go to like these little peppered islands in Greece, and maybe go collect cork bark oaks or something, Yamadori, that there'll be quite a bit of deviation between the leaves. Even with trees that are, you know, in close proximity. I suppose that's okay. Never really heard anybody talk about that in pines. Okay. That's I feel like we have improved this little guy quite a bit as far as getting rid of a lot of little problematic things. I don't really want the tree to waste a lot of energy putting foliage on limbs that I should have already cut. Let it see what happened right here just then, and throw all of that new oxen into other branches. Yeah. All right. There's our front. There's our hollow feature. There's still a few more branches here that are going straight up that I'm seeing that I need to get out of here. Can you get out of here? It looks a little sidey, but it's not. You could make that sidey if you would. Do that. Good scissors. Okay. I know that's straight up, but maybe it's learned. Maybe it's learned its lesson. Yeah, you did it. You left the part that's straight up. This is a good example of the branch I'm cutting right now. I cut it where I cut it because of this little leaf right here, which will be the branch that now comes out on the side there, throwing that energy that way. Click that back. I think I am almost done with this guy this February, with our February pre-spring cutback. As far as the tree's concerned, it's not really pre-spring. All right, that's a quick look at a little bit of cleanup. I'm going to call the rest of this. I'm going to call the rest of this what we take into this spring, as far as the tree is concerned. What we will be working with. These are the structure of the tree that we'll be working with this summer. And I think these are all, except for the guys I'm taking out as I'm winding this up. I think these are all going to be good choices, good branching. We've got a lot of good stuff here to work with and to branch off more. And there's a couple of branches here that have a little bit of time on them, so I'm kind of giving them the 5-minute sign. Like stuff like this, they've got a little bit of time and a lot of bud sites to be proactive, but it's not like we would die for lack of them. And also, like I said, I'm going to be watching areas up here and up here to see, in areas here, see these two branches are just really thick, quite a bit thicker than the stuff that's around it, that a reverse taper, dare I say reverse taper. It's because they teamed up together and then they had a lot of branching off there and they just fed off of that quickly. I should probably take note of the speed at which that part happened. All right, that is our Saturday night drop. Our Friday night drop I shot last night was done probably by 8 o'clock. We probably were done editing by almost 9, and we pushed upload with the finished video and then waited for it to upload until, a long time. So yeah, by that you'll probably see this video mañana. But yeah, that is us. That's the work we did tonight on our California oak. And as I was saying earlier, I'm going to let this stuff, these little twigs, branch out and give us a little bit more girth. I'm going to let these kids fight it out amongst themselves. We'll make a choice as to which one gets to be a new piece of the tree. Same with this little branch here. It is sitting in an area where a branch used to live one time, and it decided to put some more energy out there and see what I would do. And I said, come on, if you're going to, let's do it. So I'm trying to restore more of the tree back down here, while at the same time I'm going to keep an eye on this. This wouldn't be a bad apex by itself. I don't like the scar it would leave, but that's not a bad looking tree right there. I think it probably looks better in person than it does on camera, but yeah. So that's kind of what's going on there. I'm probably going to keep this. It's just a matter of it balancing out again once we get our growth back, once we get our foliage back. And this is our secondary and tertiary that we did last summer, and I think in almost all cases we kept all of that stuff there and ready. So I don't think we cut back anything that we had really worked towards last year. This is all good. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Frida appreciates you. Like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. We're knocking on 500 subscribers, and we're just going to keep right on going. I've got some more pine tree videos Last night I brought in six small trees and did a little cleanup. Tomorrow day, I will probably drag in another 10 or so and do the same with the rest of them. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching.